the inauguration was being planned, I was asked to reach out to both former President Clinton and former President Bush to find out whether they would be attending. And I got the same response from both of them, sitting here waiting for my invitation. They were and called them. Both.
Yep, there they are, the former President Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, who was defeated.
States, the Honorable William J. Clinton and the Honorable Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Bush and Laura Bush, they're getting ready to walk in as well. This is an exciting moment for those of us, John, who love American history, who love covering presidents of the United States, Democrats and Republicans. They're getting together at this really historic moment.
And think of the remarkable moment. A, the message this sends to the country and to the world to have the former president.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 43rd President of the United States, the Honorable George W. Bush and Mrs. Laura Bush.
W. Bush and Laura Bush. Jenny Gandel, you're getting some reporting. What else are you learning?
Well, I have to say I'm laughing as I'm watching them come down, Wolf, because
President of the United States, the Honorable Barack H. Obama and Mrs. Michelle Obama.
There they are. This is a moment, this is a huge moment for Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, for that matter, don't you think?
Absolutely. 4 years ago, Donald Trump ran against Barack Obama and won the presidency. In some ways, Donald Trump's election was a repudiation of the Obama agenda. However, now you have Joe Biden coming in, and Joe Biden ran saying we're going to strengthen Obamacare. We're going to bring back the multilateral approach. We're going to respect our allies. Now, he will be different. Joe Biden will be. President Biden will be in different ways than President Obama, but this is a very proud moment for the Obamas, both of them.
Let's get David Axelrod's thought. He used to work for Barack Obama when he was president of the United States, and David, you helped him become the president.
This moment is not just about his happiness for the country, which I'm sure he feels, but also for a very close friend who is realizing the live stream, and in whom I know he has great faith to be the right person at this moment. So this is a moment of great satisfaction for both Barack and Michelle Obama.
There you see the justices of the U.S. Supreme Court, including some of the justices.
But they're also people who, according to Joe Biden, really helped convince him to run. I mean, the way that he tells the story, he obviously felt that he was done. And it was, of course, after Charlottesville and after the both sidesism that Donald Trump did, that his granddaughters said, you got to do this. You got to do this. This is your time.
Recognize all the modern families being represented by both the first and the second family. Ashley Biden is the daughter of Joe and Jill Biden, but Hunter Biden is his surviving child from his first marriage. Joe Biden's first wife, who died tragically in a car crash. And earlier you saw Ella and Cole Emhoff, who are the stepdaughters of Kamala Harris, and are Doug Emhoff's children. So, like so many American families, you see how blended families are coming together today, from both the first and the second families. And now we see Vice President Mike Pence and Karen Pence walking through the Senate through the Capitol chambers.
Taken many steps to smooth things over during this transition. He called Harris a few days ago to congratulate her. As we know, the president had not reached out at all. And so he's taken many steps to try to smooth things over, and he's become an unlikely defender, essentially, of Biden and Harris's victory by resisting the president's pressure to overturn the election results, something he didn't have the authority to do. Now, I'm told by a source today, one thing that Pence wants to accomplish is to meet Eugene Goodman, and thank him in person. He is the heroic Capitol Hill officer who has been promoted to Deputy Sergeant of Arms. Unclear if they have made contact yet.
Transition. Before that, he was as much a hindrance as anybody else. But let's look forward at this inaugural right now. Pretty soon, within the hour, we're expecting President-elect Joe Biden, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., to be sworn in as the 46th President of the United States. Let's listen in.
Julie E. Adams and Chief Administrative Officer of the House of Representatives, Catherine Spindor. The Honorable Michael R. Pence and Mrs. Karen Pence.
Bipartisan applause there for the outgoing Vice President, Mike.
Was trying to break in, was right where he is, to get into the Capitol. Some of them were screaming, "Hang Mike Pence."
And there was literally a gallows that one of them or some of them had fashioned outside the Capitol with a noose.
Exactly, and talk about what you said earlier, Jake, a celebration of democracy, the fact that here we are 2 weeks later to the day, and there he is, doing his duty, not constitutionally this time, but as an American, as somebody who respects protocol. He is there, as opposed to being at the Andrews Air Force Base send-off this morning.
And for what it's worth, I mean, given his role in the last several months, he has played a role in where we are in terms of what happened 2 weeks ago. But for what it's worth, it's important that he decided to make a statement about the transfer of power here and about being a part of this process and being a part of this ceremony, which has become sacred in this country, at least in actually enjoying this moment of brief bipartisanship before things start again in Washington tomorrow.
Yeah, not to be too cold about it, but often these former presidents only see each other at inaugurations and at funerals.
Yeah.
The pictures I have in my mind of George W. Bush and the Obamas, really, he hangs out more with Michelle than he does with Barack, are from the John McCain funeral and then from the George H.W. Bush funeral. But that is reassuring for Americans to see that individuals who battled fiercely in an election or oppose each other in terms of policies can come together to celebrate the country together, to be human with one another because of their commitment to the United States and the ideals that this nation aspires to.
And they can even become friends. You know, George W. Bush and Michelle Obama have actually developed a friendship. And as David Axelrod said earlier, when Barack Obama was running for president, he was not particularly kind to his predecessor. He was basically running against the Bush legacy, but there was kindness in the turnover between administrations. And when Barack Obama turned the White House over to Donald Trump.
A-Rod?
A-Rod.
That's A-Rod.
J-Lo is going to be performing a little bit later. So.
By the way, Alex Rodriguez and Jennifer Lopez. It's like they're our best friends, but go ahead.
But, you know, when Barack Obama turned the White House over to Donald Trump, you know, he said in his letter that he wanted to be as helpful to the Trumps as possible. And I believe he meant it. And I think Donald Trump believed he meant it because he cherished that letter in a lot of ways. They never took him up on that offer. But that is the tradition that we are.
Because we were noticing that Mike Pence was kind of
They were sort of nodding to
standing alone. You know, we'll see what happens. But, oh, there he is in the background. Maybe not. But isn't that an interesting dynamic? There's a lot of kind of chumminess and the current vice president and the current second lady are quietly standing in the background. They're there, they're doing what needs to be done, but there doesn't seem to be the same camaraderie.
Well, look, I don't want to look backward too much, but I mean, 2 days before the terrorist attack on the Capitol, Mike Pence was down in Georgia, Vice President Pence was down in Georgia, continuing the big lie, talking about the election and suggesting there was fraud when there was not. So here is the Vice President-elect, Kamala Harris, and her husband, the soon-to-be second gentleman, Doug Emhoff.
As they walk down the stairs here, this is a major, major moment for this country. And it's a major moment in American history. The first African American and South Asian and woman to ever hold this position. The first second gentleman ever, Doug Emhoff. These two will be both making history in their own ways. And in many ways, Kamala Harris has been very cognizant of nodding to that in a lot of symbolism that we'll see here later today in what she's wearing the two black designers today, but also taking the oath of office from Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor, who is the first Latina Supreme Court Justice, but like her, was a prosecutor earlier in her career, and is someone who Kamala Harris has said inspired her trajectory as she rose in the ranks of American politics.
The acting Deputy House Sergeant-at-Arms, Kevin Grubbs, and the acting Deputy Senate Sergeant-at-Arms, United States Capitol Police Officer, Private First Class Eugene O. Goodman.
For her sorority sisters in Alpha Kappa Alpha Incorporated, and she's standing there right next to Mike Pence, current Vice President of the United States. The two have spoken on the phone in just the last few days. In a lot of her positions, being the first black woman, the first South Asian woman to hold.
President-elect of the United States, Dr. Joe Biden, they're going to be walking in as well. And then they will.
Inauguration Wolf with the world watching. Soon to be President of the United States, Joe Biden, walking out with his wife, Jill Biden. The pictures tell us about history. The pictures tell us about the resilience. 2 weeks ago, we were watching thugs run through these halls. Now we're watching the military honor guard there as the former vice president, former senator, soon to be President of the United States, walks through with the First Lady, soon to be First Lady, Jill Biden. Just remarkable history. The election of Joe Biden, now the inauguration of Joe Biden. What a moment. The weight on this new president in the middle of a pandemic with an economy bleeding jobs, a country so divided that supporters of the former president, soon to be former president, attacked that building 2 weeks ago today. Just a remarkable moment. The weight of the presidency about to pass onto Joe Biden.
Evan Osnos is with us, the Biden biographer. This must be so moving, so exceptional for this man.
Here he is, 48 years after he entered this. He's now maybe the oldest president of the United States, facing enormous challenges. And I'm reminded of what he said in 2008 at the Democratic National Convention. He said, failure at some point in life is inevitable, but giving up is unforgivable. And that has indeed been the text of his life, and it has led him right here to the doorstep of history.
The inaugural ceremony is about to get underway. We're about to hear the horns. We're about to hear the president-elect and the future First Lady of the United States introduced, and this ceremony will begin. There you see the congressional leadership. It's about to begin right now. This is one of those moments that a lot of us will remember down the road. It's getting chilly out there a little bit as well, and it's I can actually see a few snow flurries coming in as well. So I'm sure they're all anxious to get this underway as the weather. Let's listen in right now as they're introducing more.
President-elect of the United States, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. and Dr. Jill Biden. welcome the Honorable Amy Klobuchar.
Madam Vice President-elect, members of Congress and the judicial branch, former presidents and first ladies, vice presidents, leaders from abroad, and a whole bunch of Bidens. America, welcome to the 59th presidential inauguration, where in just a few moments, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will take their solemn oaths. This ceremony is the culmination of 244 years of a democracy. It is the moment when leaders brought to this stage by the will of the people promised to be faithful to our Constitution, to cherish it and defend it. It is the moment when they become, as we all should be, guardians of our country. Have we become too jaded, too accustomed to the ritual of the passing of the torch of democracy to truly appreciate what a blessing and a privilege it is to witness this moment? I think not. 2 weeks ago, and desecrated this temple of our democracy. It awakened us to our responsibilities as Americans. This is the day when our democracy picks itself up, brushes off the dust, and does what America always does. Goes forward as a nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This conveyance of a sacred trust between our leaders and our people takes place in front of this shining Capitol dome for a reason. When Abraham Lincoln gave his first inaugural address in front of this Capitol, the dome was only partially constructed, braced by ropes of steel. He promised he would finish it. He was criticized for spending funds on it during the Civil War. To those critics, he replied, "If the people see the Capitol going on, it is a sign we intend the Union shall go on." And it did, and it will. Generations of Americans gave their lives to preserve our republic in this place. Great legislation to protect civil rights and economic security and lead the world was debated and crafted under this dome. Now it falls on all of us, not just the two leaders we are inaugurating today, to take up the torch of our democracy, not as a weapon of political arson, but as an instrument for good. We pledge today never to take our democracy for granted as we celebrate its remarkable strength. We celebrate its resilience, its grit. We celebrate the ordinary people doing extraordinary things for our nation, the doctors and nurses on the front line of this pandemic, the officers in the Capitol, a new generation never giving up hope for justice. We celebrate a new president, Joe Biden, who vows to restore the soul of America and cross the river of our divides to a higher plane. And we celebrate our first African American, first Asian American, and first woman vice president, Kamala Harris, who stands on the shoulders of so many on this platform who have forged the way to this day. When she takes the oath of office, little girls and boys across the world will know that anything and everything is possible. And in the end, that is America, our democracy, a country of so much good. And today, on these Capitol steps and before this glorious field of flags, we rededicate ourselves to its cause. Thank you. Senator who has worked with me and so many others to make this ceremony possible, my friend and the chair of the inaugural committee, Missouri Senator Roy Blunt.